A ball.
Yeah, a ball.
Hi, welcome back to the Lighthouse Addiction Topic Show. Today we are here discussing creating a family in early recovery. I'm here with Lauren. She is an alumni from the Lighthouse Treatment Center. Welcome. And this is Brody.
Can you say
hi? Hi. Welcome, Lauren. We're very excited to have you here finally. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What brought you to the Lighthouse? A little bit about your background.
Okay. I came to the Lighthouse in 2015. It was my first time in treatment. I came from like a good family. I was raised. I just had a good life, and I just chose, it starts with that choice to kind of self-sabotage, and I always had a little bit of the ism of alcoholism growing up, and so I was really broken when I got here, and I had been using drugs and alcohol since I was 10, was the first time I had started using drugs, and started drinking at 13, and it just got really out of hand and progressed quickly. Brody will be here. It progressed really quickly, and I just needed help. And I had a really good friend that was working at the Lighthouse that actually recommended me there, and I'm so grateful for him because I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah. And so you just celebrated 3 years sober. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your sobriety story after you've left the Lighthouse.
Well, I wanted to go home really bad just after detox. I wanted to go home. And I was convinced to stay for residential, and I'm so glad I did because I wasn't planning on staying sober. I just didn't want to feel sick anymore.
Yeah.
And so when I left the Lighthouse, I think I had a little over 30 days. Open this. There you go. I had a little over 30 days, and I went to sober living. I didn't want to go to sober living, but I knew I needed to. And so when I got, open this too. There you go.
Perfect.
Mommy's in sobriety.
Yeah.
Open this too. There you go. And I went to sober living, and I made some really good friends. I just focused on my program only. I didn't worry about getting friendships back or trying to maintain with my family. And it really helped keep things in perspective. I was able to go to meetings and just focus on staying sober one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time. Yes. So tell us a little bit. So Brody's father is actually also an alumni. So you guys met at the Lighthouse and started a relationship shortly after you left.
Well, what happened was I didn't know Justin while I was in treatment. The guys are on one side and the girls are on the other. And I didn't know who Justin was, but when we got out, we did sober karaoke nights.
Oh.
And I met him at sober karaoke, and I really liked him, you know, but it wasn't like I was trying to be in a relationship. My sponsor warned me, and she said, you do not get into a relationship. That was just what my sponsor...
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, being the good alcoholic that I am, I didn't listen. And, I just hung out with him, and I really liked him, but... we did get pregnant not long after I left. I left in May, and I think I got pregnant in August. He was just in our friendship circle, I was really scared, but Justin's a good man.
Yeah, he's
a really good man, and
better than a great woman.
Any man, thank you, that I've ever dated. So I got really lucky, and I know when I say lucky today, it means God's working in my life. So I like to attribute it to that.
Beautiful. So that actually brings us to our next question, where you advised, you did mention that your sponsor said to wait, hold off on the relationship. So you were advised to against having a relationship, but were you also advised against starting a family?
Absolutely. and I hear from other women too, just in the women's meetings I go to, we like to focus on ourselves first, and then so we can be there for our family. So I was hearing all of this, but early in sobriety, it was so raw for me.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened? You don't want to play with this? Can you get your book? Get your book. Here, Mommy will hold it. I'll fold it up for you. Okay? You hear in the rooms, focus on yourself, get well first, and then you can focus on your family and be there for them. And I heard all this, and I just couldn't apply it to myself because I wasn't in that position. I was 21 years old, and I just wanted to have fun and learn how to have fun in sobriety. That was my main goal, was to have a fellowship and make friends. And so, so you could say, my motives were a little off. I think as a newcomer, just from my experience, I didn't have a path I was trying to hit. I was just trying to make it, just trying to stay sober and not obsess over drinking and using drugs. For sure. And so my sponsor definitely advised me not to get into a relationship. I tend to be a flirty woman innately, right? It's in me a little bit. And she really emphasized to me we to do that. And she wouldn't even meet Justin, actually, when I told her I liked this guy, and she said, I'm not gonna meet him. We would go to a meeting, and she would see me and wave, and then she'd see Justin, and she'd actually sneak around and be like, no.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, and if you knew my sponsor, and I know Shelby, you're watching, and you know my sponsor, she's amazing, and she's just tough like that.
Awesome. So what are some challenges that you faced being early in recovery and starting a family? I'll take that, Brody. Can I have it? I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry,
so much.
What was the question again?
So what are some challenges of being early in recovery and...
well, for me, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
When I think of, struggles, I think of, resources, And so I came from a really great supportive family, but they were really hurt and confused when I didn't come home after.
Yeah.
They didn't really understand addiction, and, going to treatment for them is you're just going to meet other people who use.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so they were really hesitant for even me to stay in treatment, So that was a real struggle to kind of feel... abandoned but scared, even though that's all in my head. My family was very supportive, but I was scared. And more struggles, you don't have money. You don't have money. I didn't have a job. We didn't have a car. We were trying to figure out how to make rent. What are you doing, baby? You threw it? Why don't you get some snacks? Here, look. You want some gummy snacks? Okay.
Yum.
There you go. You say thank you? You're welcome. Okay, so it's still a struggle, right? So, more struggles were the financial aspect. I was in a lot of fear. I hadn't had enough time in sobriety to gain that spiritual experience. I wasn't beyond my 6th step when I got pregnant, and I was really scared. I was living in sober living with Justin. We ended up moving into the same sober living, and he didn't have any fear. He was not scared. He totally trusted his God, and I kind of leaned on that, and that's not recommended. You should really be working on yourself, and I didn't have that foundation. I got really lucky with the way that the universe looked out for me.
Yeah.
And the things that we did do, though, we didn't just sit around and wait for things to just happen and get handed to us. We were actively looking for a place to move. I was really adamant about that. I was scared. I did not want to live in sober living and have a baby. I was paranoid.
Sure.
I didn't know what that was like. Going through getting a little more time, I realized that there lots of women do it, and it can be done. But for me, I just didn't know. And so we applied for WIC, which is an amazing program, government-funded, sponsored program. And they really helped. I didn't know that you could get food while you're pregnant even.
Oh, wow.
So they help you when you're pregnant, and that was great, you know. I was so grateful for that because we couldn't afford anything. We luckily, like, found a place to live close to my family in Long Beach, and we were able to just kind of make it work with, you know, one plate and one steak knife and, you know, from Rite Aid. And we just got really lucky, like, even finding a place. You know, it's very expensive to live in California. And, you know, Justin was very resourceful, and he found a woman who was willing to rent for us for a very, very low price. And honestly, she just really loved Justin and really worked it out for us. It was a fully furnished one-bedroom house, and it was amazing. Like, I couldn't have asked for anything better. It truly was amazing for us to have that opportunity to raise our son there. And it just so happens that right before he got there, the neighbors on the other side of the duplex were leaving. So we got to move into an empty place and have our family there. We didn't have to worry about all the furniture that was already in the house. Like, we could have our own home. And it was amazing. But, you know, like, all those things, like, had to happen in a certain way because that's not everyone's reality. And it can be really difficult, you know, like, I know women in the program who struggle with these things. Like, we were very, very fortunate. And I know today that's God, but in hindsight, I can see that. But in the moment, it was terrifying. Yeah. Terrifying not to know, and constantly living in fear, but doing the contrary action to try and see something different. Like, it was a lot of faith in something I didn't believe in yet. Yeah. And that's a really scary thing, and I think that's exactly why they say to not get in a relationship in early recovery, you know, because all these struggles are just things that we couldn't even handle life, you know, before, let alone with the life growing inside of you. It's very intimidating.
Yeah, it is definitely a challenge, but luckily for you guys came out on the other side. A lot of those challenges would usually take people out.
I'm done.
Are you done?
You're done? Okay. Done what? Is there a snack?
Thank you.
I'm done doing it.
So what are some, how do you find balance? So I know that you sponsor a lot of women. You also work your own program, and you're a full-time mom, full-time partner, wife. So how do you balance everything?
Carefully. It's very hard. But you just take it one day at a time. And I always thought these sayings were so cliche and ridiculous, but there's when you can't find the word and these cliches come out, and you're like, oh gosh, like how did that happen? But it's true. So you know, I get a lot of my solution from the Big Book. Yeah. And I think it's so funny. Like, I never thought I would read to the wives and relate, or the family afterward. I thought they were chapters I would just kind of mosey over, you know. But today I use them all the time. And, like, the main ideas that I get, I actually just read the family afterward on Tuesday again. And the main idea that always pops up is being patient. It's all about being patient. Being so patient, you know, and not letting things get overwhelming in your life, you know, learning to laugh or just relax. Yeah. And being really balanced. A good reminder for people,
especially other women that are going through the same thing. That's a very good reminder for them to relax, have a laugh, not take it so seriously, and God has your back. But yeah, awesome. So has working a program of recovery affected the way you parent? And if so, why or how?
Yeah, you want to 12-step the heck out of your children, right? Like, you want to help them. But, you know, I was just talking to Callie outside, and I was saying, like, you know, as alcoholics, we're kind of like 2-year-olds. You know, we throw tantrums when we don't get our way. Yeah. And we do outlandish things for attention. And it can be hard, like, to kind of figure it out. But I don't know. I think you just kind of, you have to parent like like how it says in the book, like we treat newcomers like they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't treat him like he's sick, but I treat him just with loving and kindness, right? Tolerance,
And
like the things we learn in the program, because he's just a little baby, you know, he's learning. He doesn't have words for everything yet, but he does have a growing vocabulary. And, you know, he's just doing this for attention. He just wants to be a part of. And I think when I look to your hat off, your hair's crazy. You do what you want, though. Mommy will back you up. You know, it says in, like, the 11-step prayer, like, we aim to understand rather than be understood. And I think when I aim to understand my baby and just be loving, like, nothing he does is traumatic, you know? Like, yeah, he's crying a little bit, or he might throw a tantrum right here and right now, and, like, you'll just see what we do. We just roll with it. Yeah. There's nothing I can do to predict how he's going to behave. Like, I just brought him in here praying and hoping that he's going to be a cute, adorable little baby, and he sure is. Yeah! And a little crazy.
No high five? Oh. That's close enough. That's close enough, Brody. Awesome. So, talking about very exciting moments in your life, what are some benefits or moments of appreciation that you've experienced while having a family in sobriety?
You know, every experience, like, came with its difficulties, but I think being in the hospital and being able to have a man be there that is so supportive, that also works a program, and that took such great care of me, you know, treating me like I was sick when I was pregnant, because I was so mentally ill. And it's such a blessing to, like, look back on that and look back on our experiences and know that, like, we just trusted in a higher power, you know? And sometimes things get difficult now, and we think, like, how are we going to get through this? And, like, we look back to our first years in sobriety, and we're like, we made it through crazy, like things that we never thought we could make it through, and you just did, you know? And I think, like, one of my favorite memories that had all my family there was my graduation last year. This time last year, I graduated from college with my bachelor's degree, and my son was there. You know, I did it as a really fortunate to be able to do that, you know, because I know that's also hard. But if I can do all these things, like, I know other people, you know, watching this, like, can do this. My son is trying to shove his toys under my legs. Thank you.
Okay. So we're just going to give somebody who's currently struggling with addiction.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Just don't be afraid, you know, just call anyone, call Joe. A diaper. You know, like, if we can do it, like, anyone can do it. You know, we came from dark places and prevailed. It happens when you ask for help.
Beautiful. Well, I'm so proud of you. I was there when you were still a client. I remember the day that you left and the transfer. So thank you for your recovery. Thank you for being here. And that's all we got, guys. See you guys next time.